Hello, welcome to the Joe Cortez Show here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment and the boxing capital of the world. Our co-host, Shelly Stevens. And
Hey, everybody.
Joe Cortez here. We have a special guest today, one of the great ones of all time. We have him on the show today because he's going to get inducted to the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame 2025. That's going to be September 28th, which is a Sunday. But the induction starts the 26th, 27th, and 28th is a big day. Welcome to the show, Sean O'Grady. How you doing, Sean?
Thank you so much for having me on the big show. What a deal. Thank you. You guys, you look great. You look great.
Well,
Me too.
Is this a live shot from Las Vegas tonight?
I think that's it.
It looks like nighttime in the background.
Yeah. Sean, it's so nice to have you on the show, And Sean O'Grady being one of the great ones, from Philadelphia, right where you're from, too.
I know. We had an interesting conversation right before the show started.
Okay, let's go back to Sean.
Check out my Oklahoma City Thunder T-shirt.
I
Why
see.
is that? Because tonight is the big night.
Wow, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great game tonight, then.
You know something, Joe? I've known you more in my life than I haven't known you. You knew my parents, for goodness sakes. That's how long we know each other.
Wow.
I knew. I known Joe for a long, long time. He knew both my mother and my father.
That's so
So
awesome.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, in the boxing field, you get to meet a lot of nice individuals out there, like yourself. And September, here in Atlantic City, we're going to have a great time because we're going to be with some of the great champions. We'll be there. And Shelly, you're coming there with your husband
I
Wesley,
know.
too.
Oh, my goodness. He is so excited. He can't wait until September. And then when I told him who the guest was today, big fan. He knows everybody in boxing. He knows him. So,
Yeah.
Sean, you got a big fan. And, my husband. He's going crazy. He wants to hear. He can't wait until the show comes out so he can see it.
So cool. So cool. That's great.
Okay, Sean,
Well,
a
thank you
question.
again for having me on.
Yeah,
Yes.
you had 86 professional fights, and you have a great record.
Right.
I mean,
Oh,
you
thank
have like 81 straight wins. I mean, 81 wins. What was your first loss? What number?
First loss was my 30th fight with Danny Lopez, L.A. guy. Man,
Oh,
that's great. What a brick. Danny Lopez, yeah. He was
he
the
was-
number one. Yeah, he was number one there, man.
He told Danny Red Lopez was a great featherweight champion, a red-headed Mexican American.
Really?
Ran me something like Canelo Alvarez, red hair.
Oh, okay.
So Danny Little Red, that's why they call him Little Red. Yeah, Sean, go ahead.
Ute Indian. He's a Ute Indian, so he's real light skinned, and he was a great fighter. Goodness gracious.
When he fought the other featherweight champion, Salvador Sanchez, may he rest in peace. Salvador Sanchez stopped him in the late rounds. That was unbelievable. You remember that fight, Sean?
Of course, I remember that fight. Danny was hung in there like a champ, man. But Salvador Sanchez was just too much for him. Sanchez really was a different kind of fighter during that era. He was a great one, but he changed. His style was different than many of the fighters that came out of Mexico at that time.
Exactly.
And he was terrific.
Yeah, I tell you, Salvador Sanchez was one of the great ones. He was a 126-pounder, tall, lanky guy. He can box and he can punch. He had both.
Wow. He has
He's
very.
great.
You have
He's
a
great.
very impressive resume. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Joe, thank
you have 80%, 86% knockout rate, right?
Oh, do I? Wow,
Yeah,
really?
you were born with a
86, yeah.
knockout punch, or
Oh, yeah.
you developed it in training.
Sean O'Grady was one of the knockout artists out there. Every time you look at him, you say, I'm going to take that guy. You get in the ring with him, you feel his punches, everything changed right there.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And then
I was a little unassuming too, because I was a little skinny kid in the ring, but I could punch. My parents, my father, you knew my daddy Joe. My daddy Pat could teach. He could teach boxing, and he taught me how to be a puncher. And then my mother, of course, loved the sport of boxing. But when we lived in Las Vegas, there was only 250,000 people in Las Vegas when we lived there, 1966.
Wow.
And then they built this casino way out of town.
Way out of town was at the Santa Fe Hotel. It was one that was way out of town.
Really?
That was owned by Paul and Sue Loudon.
Wow.
Yeah, back in the 40s or 50s that they started the hotel.
That's so funny when you say way out of town, because now Vegas has expanded so much, it's so close.
Yeah, well, the population now is over 3 million. Who was your first world title fight against?
It was Jim Watt. Jim Watt in Glasgow, Scotland. Yep, that was a long time ago. In 1980, it was Halloween night, 1980.
Sean O'Grady. We have him on the show today because he's getting inducted to the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame 2025. That's going to be September 28th, which is a Sunday. But the induction starts the 26th, 27th, and 28th is a big day. Sean, you still got the punch. The right one will get you, the left one will, right?
That's it. That's it. One or the other.
Yeah.
No other punches will get you, but those two will. One is 6 months in a hospital. The other one is tombstone territory.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. Yeah, look out. I don't know.
Wow.
So
it had to be a little intimidating to my opponents when I would come into the arena and I looked like I was 12 years, I looked like a little kid, skinny, scrawny little kid, because I had white trunks or green trunks, and I come into the arena, and it had to be a little bit daunting to these opponents who looked at me and had to be thinking to themselves, I'm going to kill this guy, I'm going to cream him, I'm going to murder, I'm going to take him out. But I could punch, and my daddy taught me to fight, because I grew up in all the gyms in Vegas and around LA. So I was in the gym constantly, and I because of that, I kind of knew a little bit about boxing. Plus, my father was a great coach for many boxers, including I think his biggest one was probably George. He did a lot of work for George Foreman, and George trained with us in my home in Oklahoma City when he fought in Oklahoma City a couple times, and he also fought in New York right after training with my father. So yeah, I'd been around boxing and around many great boxers. Man, I met Sugar Ray Robinson at the fights in Vegas. Sat next to him and talked to him for a long time during these fights. And then I met him again in Los Angeles when I was training in LA. And he was actually, I think he was 65 years old at the time, and he was training in LA, just working out to stay in shape. Right. But he looked beautiful. Man, he got on the rope. He was beautiful. He worked in front of the mirror. He looked great, and he was 65.
He was one of the greatest champions of all time.
Oh yeah.
People always ask me who was the greatest. I always say Sugar Ray Robinson was the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nobody like him. He can punch, he can box, he can do everything. All these guys, you see, like Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, all that. They all copy Sugar Ray Robinson's style.
Yeah.
He was really the king of all.
Yeah, of course. He set the standard for everybody in the sport. Exactly. And Ali even admitted it late in his life. Muhammad Ali admitted that his style came a lot from the things that Sugar Ray Robinson did. Yeah. Which is very, very, and Robinson was great. And by the way, thinking of that too, I'm thinking about Mike Tyson and how Mike Tyson, as a young fighter, how great he was, because he had the videos of all those, the big fights incorporated. He had the videos that Jim Jacobs had in New York. So he had the videos that he could watch anytime he wanted to watch, Ali fight, or anytime he wanted to watch Ray Robinson fight, or any Jake LaMotta. He knew all the fighters from the old time.
He even knew. My mentor was Gaspar Ortega.
Yeah, Gaspar Ortega.
And when Mike Tyson Mike Tyson and I got inducted to the International Hall of Fame up in Canastota the same day. Gaspar Ortega was there to support me. And I remember that Mike Tyson, besides making his speech, he had to mention Gaspar Ortega, who was sitting right in front of him.
Gaspar Ortega.
He was one of Mike Tyson's favorite. Gaspar Ortega had a good style, a good boxer. Yeah, one thing about Gaspar Ortega, if you look at the box rec in 1965, he had 29 fights in 1965. 29 fights. Most fighters
29 in 1 year. In 1 year.
Yeah, he was fighting. Sometimes he was fighting 2 or 3 times a week at the end of his career. His manager Nick Corby said, "We're going to get you. Were you going to wrap it up this year? Then wrap it up with a string of big fights."
God, my father had a boxer that fought Gaspar Ortega, so I've known the name Gaspar Ortega since I was a very little child.
So what's the fighter's name?
His fighter was Mel Barker, that my dad had, that fought Gaspar Ortega, and my father shuffled these fighters around all over the United States to get them boxing matches. We lived at that time. We lived in Austin, but we moved from Austin to Vegas. That's when I lived in Vegas, out on Tonopah Highway. I lived on Tonopah Highway. And Joe, check this out. In the springtime, we lived there over the winter. In the springtime, the National Guard came and rescued us out of our home. The floods came, and the National Guard, they saved us. We would have died that night had the National Guard not come. And they came with these Rat Patrol Jeeps. They got us up on Tonopah Highway, and we drive down Tonopah Highway, and my sister goes, "Hey, look, there's our house." Our home was floating down the river.
Way.
And all of our stuff is going, down the river.
Oh my
And,
goodness.
and what year was that?
1966, and so we moved. Actually, 67. In 67, we moved to Los Angeles.
That was 59 years ago.
Yeah, 1966. Yeah, that was back when Joe Cortez was a little boy. Yeah, right.
Well, I was young, but I was married already. I got married in 65.
Wow, really? 65. Wow, congratulations.
Yeah,
65. Wow.
I was in Austin. I was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas, in the Army there.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Really. Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Thank you for service. My father was in the Marine Corps in World War II. And he saw 44 months of combat. My dad. When he came back from the war, what do you do? So that's where he got into boxing. By the way, Joe, you look very, very handsome in your suit. You look great. And Shelly, you look beautiful too. Did you guys coordinate the blue?
No.
Because of the Thunder? Thunder Blue tonight.
I see we all
Thunder Blue
have the
tonight's
blue
playing for the
going on.
championship. Yeah.
Like
We're connected already.
Shelly's she's so beautiful. With every time she comes to the show, everybody she takes by spot as the best looking co-host anybody can have.
There you go.
You're
Love
so
it.
sweet.
Love it. Well, there.
my
Love
God.
it. Love it. That's the way it should be.
Joe told me.
Yes.
Joe told me that you were a college grad, and I want to know how many fighters actually are college grads. Are there many, or because that's special?
Oh, well, thank you. My parents had a predilection toward education, so they kind of made me, stick with it. But yeah, when I retired from boxing, I went back to school, and that's where I graduated. But the education has been so important in our life and my life. And my son, who lives in Philadelphia, has 2 degrees. So good for him too. And we've always been real good about education. But it was tough to do whenever you were moving, like my parents were when they were in the boxing business. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is cool.
It's pretty cool.
I look up to you for what you have done. You were able to be a fighter. Apparently, you didn't take that many punches to the head, because a lot of fighters that take punches to the head cannot even graduate from elementary school.
Yeah.
And you went.
Thank you.
And you went all the way through college, and that's great.
Oh, well, thank you.
And you got
thank you so much, Joe.
And you got that after you retired from boxing, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Hey, Joe, I remember you as a referee to Firm But Fair. Am I right? Is that it? Firm But Fair.
Fair but not firm.
But you boxed. You boxed too. You were a boxer too, right?
Yeah.
You were a welterweight, right?
No,
Am I right?
I was a bantamweight, 118, but I turned pro.
Man.
My first pro fight was in Bakersfield, California, against Tony Salgado, and I stopped him in the 3rd round. And
that's fantastic.
And Gaspar Ortega fought the main event that night on the same card.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you know what?
Did you see Gaspar at the Hall of Fame?
He was
Did you see him?
He was at my induction. When I got inducted, he came there for me.
Yeah.
He was there for that. Him and his wife, and they both, him and Mr. and Mrs.
Isn't that
both,
great?
they both passed.
That is great.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that, but that's so great that the people that the boxing community fraternity supports one another. That's great.
It's unbelievable. It's really good. Boxing has been good to me, to you, and so many other individuals out there.
Sure. Sure it is.
What good advice can you give to youngsters that are watching this show, or the parents that can watch? You can relay that message to the young kids. What's the best thing that they can do?
Absolutely. I went to a boxing gym yesterday, and I gave them this same little speech that I'm about to say. But boxing is looking for the next Shea Alexander, Gilchrist Alexander. They're looking for the next superstar. Right now, who are the superstars today? Canelo, yeah, I mean, superstar. Is he and Terrence Crawford's going to be great. I mean, that's going to be a great fight. But where are the young, beautiful, stellar boxers today? So what I'm saying to anybody that thinks they have a predilection toward boxing, learn your craft. Remember what Tyson did. Remember he looked at all those videos and he watched and he learned and he studied. He studied so much that he would get on TV and talk about not just his career, but careers or styles that he patterned his career after.
Right.
So my advice to anybody who is thinking they want to go into boxing, now is a great time to do that, because there's not a lot of guys out there that you don't have a lot of competition, and the sport is looking for people to get behind and to cheer for. They want to get behind their guy, and so many times boxing is like any other sport, but boxing, I thought in my mind when I was a little kid, I thought in my mind, if I could fight at the Forum and I could win over those fans, they'd be my fans. Or if I could fight at the Olympic and I could win over those fans, and those would be my fans. Or I could fight anywhere in Las Vegas, and if I fight in Caesar's Palace, I can win over my opponent's fans. Oh, sorry, I still got the power. How about that? You see that? Almost knocked out Steve. But that's not how it happens. That's not how it happens. You beat somebody. You want to be there. You want them to be your fan. So that's what my hope was when I was a boxer. So what I'm saying to young people today is, get your study. You're studying, learn your maneuvers, learn your skill, learn your craft, learn your art, and the fans will be there.
Exactly.
They will be there to support you. They are looking for people to get behind and pull for. They look for a winner. They don't want to look for a loser.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let me tell you. The reason why we have you on the show today, you viewers that might have just tuned in, Sean O'Grady, former lightweight champion, he's getting inducted to the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, September 28th, 2025 in Atlantic City. We want you fans to be there. Meet Sean O'Grady. I'll be getting inducted. I'll be getting inducted as well. We have Julian Jackson. We got Charles Murray. We got a bunch of individuals going to be inducted. To
Charles Murray, man. All these guys are great fighters. We're great fighters. We're great, Charles Murray, Julian Jackson. My gosh, Julian Jackson was awesome.
I refereed him about 3 times. Julian Jackson had a knockout punch. I remember one time I was refereeing one of his fights in Spain, and his left eye was closed and almost complete. And I went into the corner. I was a little concerned because he was taking some right-hand shots. He couldn't see out of that left eye. I went to the corner and said, Julian, you got to show me something. If you don't show me something, I'm going to stop this fight. He said, don't worry, ref. I'm going to stop it. And sure enough, next round came out. The guy came out after him. He done one shot out. His opponent. I mean, Julian Jackson is one of the greatest knockout punches in boxing history.
Oh yeah.
He knocked out 49 or 53 opponents.
Yeah. He's great. He was great.
Now you knocked out 70 of your 86 opponents, right?
Yes, that's correct.
I tell you, I mean, you fans that are watching, please show up to the Atlantic City Hall of Fame to watch the people.
That'd be great. Love to see you.
They want to see you up there. All our fans want to see Sean O'Grady. You want to meet Julian Jackson. You want to meet Joe Cortez. You want to meet Shelly.
And I can't wait to see Joe Cortez. Yeah, Shelly will be there.
Yay!
We're gonna have a good time up to that weekend, and then the director president Ray McClain, he's looking to meeting us in person. I mean, I told him, I said, Ray, I used to referee in Atlantic City. My first 15 years of referee were in Atlantic City, in New York, and all over the world.
Wow.
Then I came out to Vegas in 1992. I refereed for 35 years, and my dream was to do one world title fight. Like I said before, Aaron
How many did you do?
I refereed 176 world title fights.
You were a great referee. Whenever you were in the ring, we knew everything's going to be fine. We knew everything's going to be. You knew the right decisions, and you make the decision right there, Johnny on the spot. You were always firm and fair. And
fair but firm.
It was always good. You know, it's good to see. You know, referee is so vital to a good fight because they've got to let the fighters fight, but they've got to be protective of both fighters.
Yeah,
You were.
That was my job, you know. And I want you viewers out there to please like, share, and subscribe to the show because it's so important. But let me tell you, as a referee, my duty was to protect the fighters. You know,
safety.
That first and foremost, safety first. Enforcing the rules was second, but safety first. And I don't want to see fighters take unnecessary punishment. I want them to go back home to their families and one piece, you know, and sound mind, mentally sound.
Sure. That's
Sean,
right.
I got a question for you. I want to know what you think about boxing today as compared to back in the 70s. For example, the salaries are a lot different now, right?
Sure. They are a lot different now, and they're really nice. But what has happened is they're retreading the old boxers. They're not coming up with new, young. Where's the young boxers of today? Where's the kids that really have a predilection toward boxing, really understand the sport? And our problem, one of the issues is our trainers. Joe, you can comment on this. Our trainers are dying off. The old trainers are they're dying off, or they're not passing the tradition, the heritage, the fraternity. They're not passing along the knowledge that they have to the young kids. So consequently, what's happened is it seems to me like the sport is kind of in a stagnation point right now. It'll come out of this. It'll get out of this, but we need some new, you know, fresh, young people that are excited about the sport of boxing and that love the sport of boxing. That's what we need. People that are charismatic and can portray the importance. Boxing is a great, wonderful sport. There was something I read on the internet recently about boxing, and it was things that boxing. School will never teach you so many of these things. Only boxing can teach you how to get hit in the nose and survive it, how to come back from that, how to get knocked down and get up. You know, only boxing. You know, boxing can teach you how to, you know, withstand, how to endure, how to proceed. And so I would like to see younger people in the sport.
You know, I always say, Sean, I like to see the trainers got to be trained. I mean, like you said, there's not enough trainers out there. Like
Good
back
point.
in the day
Good point.
with Angelo Dundee, you had Lou Duva,
Right.
you had
Teddy.
Teddy Allen,
Eddie Futch. You had,
Casiamaro taught Tyson a lot of good moves. He looked at Tyson and said, "Okay, you're not that tall, so I'm gonna train you in a way for your body, your height, and your weight. I'm gonna train you to be quick,
adaptive."
Quick and use angles. And he teach Mike Tyson different angles. That's why Mike Tyson was so superior. He taught Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, he was born with a knockout punch, but Casiamaro and then Teddy Allen, and they taught him how to capitalize on the punching power. Taught him how to punch even harder by different positions, you know, by slipping a punch and coming with it. A lot of guys throw these arm punches, which is nothing. You got to come in, bend with the punch, and come with it, and that's where you get the power behind the punches. But like yourself,
Joe,
your father trained you very well and taught you the name of the game: hit, don't get hit. You know.
Yeah, that's right. That's the name of the game.
Yeah, but I would like to see trainers get out there and prepare themselves better. We need a school to seminars for trainers, just for trainers to teach them. They got fighters' lives in their hands. They got to train these guys, the trainers, not to let these fighters take unnecessary punishment. You know?
Sure, boxing's hard. It's fun, but it's hard. And you know something? You know what the fastest growing sport in America is right now? Think about this for a minute. The fastest growing sport in America is pickleball. Why is pickleball why of all the sports out there, why is pickleball the fastest growing sport in America?
You don't get hurt. It's easy. You don't get hurt.
It's easy. You don't get hurt. Yeah. And anybody can do it. You know, I mean, would boxing be better served if anybody could do it? If you never got, I don't know. I went to Golden Gloves. I was inducted in the whole Golden Gloves Hall of Fame 2 weeks ago, and at the Golden Gloves they had this virtual boxing where 2 boxing rings are set side by side.
Right.
You put on this virtual glasses,
Right.
and you box the person in the next ring, and both of the nobody gets hit, nobody gets hurt, nobody gets brain damage, nobody gets knocked out, and they get to fight one another, and you can see them on the screen where they're matched up. I mean, it was fabulous.
It's fabulous, but there's no money.
No money, and nobody got hurt. Yeah,
Nobody got hurt.
That's right.
You know, Sean. One of the things that I tell some of the fans that they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. You know,
Sure.
in boxing, you gotta have an ambulance at the property. You know, they gotta be an ambulance in case a fighter gets hurt. You gotta rush him to the hospital. You need an ambulance there. But a lot of fans don't know that you gotta have 2 ambulances at the property. You know, in the professional ranks, you gotta have 2 there in case somebody gotta be taken to the hospital. They have the other ambulance already there. You know.
Wow.
But these are things that we hate to see that happen in boxing. Sometimes back in the days when your father was in his prime as a trainer, they had Benny Kid Perret for Emma Griffith, and Benny Kid Perret lost that fight 1960 Madison Square Garden. And sometimes you got the referee got to know when to stop a fight. I see a fighter taking too much punishment. I go into the corner.
Sure.
I tell him, listen, you got to show me something like I did with Julian Jackson. Show me something, or I'm going to stop this fight.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
Sean, you
Boy, did he
and
show you
Joe are
something? Did
great
he show you
mentors.
Joe's great, man. Joe's he's one of those guys I know. Joe's one of those guys that you know him for life. And
You know
he
what?
is what he said. You know, it's where's his friendship on his sleeve. He really does.
You know, one day I was refereeing Sugar Ray Leonard. It was his last fight. His last fight in Atlantic City when he fought Hector Macho Camacho. And I remember going into the dressing room. I give him the pre-fight instructions, and I tell him, "All right, champ, you know we want a good, clean fight today. But remember, I'm here. My job first and foremost is the safety of the fighters." So I told him, you know, if I see any one of the fighters getting hurt, and I tell the same thing to Mike Tyson. He could have been the baddest man on the planet, but I would tell Mike Tyson the same thing. I refereed Tyson 8 times. But Sugar Ray Leonard, when I stopped the fight against Camacho, when he got hit with a punch, that he should have died. Back in the old days, that was nothing for him. He got hit with a punch. He wobbled. He went down. Then Camacho had him up against the ropes and started throwing a flurry of punches. And I see Sugar Ray Leonard's knees buckled. So as they buckled, I jumped in and stopped it. And I held him in my arm. I'm waving it off. I got him up against the rope. As I'm stopping, in my ear, he says, "Thanks, Joe." You know. So these fighters.
One second.
That's it.
1 second. One
That's it.
second is all it takes. One second, you're, and that's between life and death, right there.
I'd rather stop it.
And
I'd rather stop it a punch too soon than a punch too late.
Why
Sure, you
is
bet.
it that nowadays these fighters have nothing to fall back on? You and Joe should have some kind of training or something to teach them what to do, because there's so many boxers that, what do they do with their money that they don't have any money anymore? I don't understand that.
Good
It makes so
question,
much.
Shelly. I wish there were a way to answer that. I've seen my whole life has been that I've heard that question time and again, and so many people have put so much effort into building retirement plans for these boxers. In fact, I when you fight in California, they took some of your purse.
Right.
When I was boxing in the 70s and 80s, they took some of your purse and they invest it for you.
That's great.
After 40 years, I was contacted by the Commission of California, and they said, well, we weren't able to invest your money, so we're ready to give it back to you. So they gave me back the original amount I put in there.
Wow.
I mean, they held it all that time. They never invested. I don't know what they did with it. They never invested or anything, and they just give me back the original amount that I put in there. The original. I think it was 5%, 10%, 3%, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. But they gave me back. I'm like, wow, that was pretty. That was pretty good.
I think did you do that today? But a lot of fighters are from foreign countries and they don't trust somebody taking their money and investing here in the United States. But I think that the trainers, the managers should kind of educate these individuals how to invest their money into something. Take 20% of their purses and invest it into kind of annuity funds so they can have something when they retire, like Mark Wheeler did.
How about the kids going to school? I mean, you go to school and play basketball, go to school and play football, you go to school and play hockey, you play soccer. Nobody goes to school and boxes. I mean, I don't know if there's a cry for something like that, but wow, would that change the trajectory of the sport of boxing if people could, do their sport while they were learning? And how would that affect a brain if you exercise it with information, with mathematics, with reading, with other things, stimulate your brain with things besides boxing? And the videos are important, but if you were doing things like scientific research, or I don't know, what else could boxers do? Even and when I look at other sports, they have these other techniques for other sports. They don't have boxers do the same things they did 20, 30 years ago.
But thank God that you were educated up by your parents. It got you the right direction to get you. I mean, you became a decent. You were a good commentator. You need to be somebody
decent. Thank you, Joe. Did he say decent? Shelly, stick up for me here. Help me, Shelly, my new agent.
I know.
Shelly, help me.
When I told my husband you were going to be the guest on the show, he told me he was a great commentator as well as a fighter. He knew all about you.
There's my agent. I'm sorry, Joe.
We had some photos of you. You were interviewing. You were interviewing some great champion. You're like Vander Holyfield.
Yeah, that's right. Rick, do you have those pictures before we run out of time? That's right. I pulled up some good pictures.
There's something you.
It's me and Evander.
Yes.
What a brick he was, man. Yeah. What a nice fella.
I got to referee him. I got to referee him with Reddick both the first one and the third one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, there you are.
That's awesome. And, look at there. Howie Steinler Award. I knew Howie Steinler. Did you know Howie Steinler?
Yeah, I met him one time, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was a neat guy, man. He was a neat guy. And I knew Mike Tyson. Look at there.
Yeah.
I worked for Tyson in his promotion company.
Yeah.
And I think that was in Mesquite right there. Yeah.
Wow.
And Mr. Mike, no.
There you
wow,
are.
Look at that. That's a few years ago. I think that belt was wrapped around me twice, by the way. There you go. There's my boxing glove. I got the Hall of Fame, and there we go, man. We're gonna be there. You
I'm
and I
so
are gonna be
excited.
Yeah, September 28th.
And Shelly's gonna be there, and Shelly's husband's gonna be there.
From the 26th to the 28th September in Atlantic City. Please be there. One of you fans out there watching. Sean O'Grady, myself, Julian Jackson, Charles Murray, and a bunch of other fighters will be there that day. Please show up to that event. And we want to just tell you fans for watching the show today. Thank you so much.
It'll be great.
We'll catch you next week. I have another inductee for the Hall of Fame next week. It'll be Julian Jackson next week on my show.
Tell Julian I said hello. Tell him I said hello, man. That's great. Great fighter. Hey, Joe, thank you for having me on your show. Shelly, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you both
Me too.
in Atlantic City.
Keep your guards open.
September.
Keep your guards open all the time. Protect us at all time. And remember, I'm fair, but I'm firm.
Woohoo!
I love it. Love it.